Hi, I'm Becca, and this is my husband, Gabe.
That's me.
Welcome to the podcast celebrating Jack Russell Terrier dogs.
And all the joys of companionship with canines of every kind.
Each week, we'll explore all the heartfelt, humbling, and hilarious stories that only dog parents can truly relate to. We're Jack Russell parents. Hi there, puppy parents.
We are so glad you could join us today.
Gabe, we are about to celebrate the day of your birth. What do you want to
Sounds
do?
so official.
It is official. What do you want to do for your special day?
The usual. I want to have a big, fat, juicy hamburger. Probably see a movie with you. Wish we could take Carson with us on our adventures, but he's still basically recovering from his knee surgery, and I'm still a little leery about taking him to the dog park. If he was fighting fit, we would definitely include that.
Yeah, I think so. So you want to see a movie. What movie do you want to see?
Probably the new Spider-Man movie. That'll be out by that time. What was the other ones?
Sing 2. I want to see Sing 2.
Yeah,
On
Sing
your
2.
birthday.
Sing 2 would be great. And West Side Story looks absolutely amazing. We just saw a trailer for that. So I don't know. That's still up in the air. The burger is non-negotiable, but the movie.
All right. Well, that sounds like a fantastic way to celebrate another year of life. And today we want to celebrate another special person. With us today is esteemed author and animal lover whose brilliant biographical books have been adapted into powerful films, such as Pursuit of Happiness and Antwone Fisher. And perhaps most importantly, she is the mama to a Jack Russell Terrier. Welcome to the show, Mim Eichler Rivas.
I'm so excited to be here. Thanks for having me.
So first things first, you are a fellow Jack Russell mama. So tell us about your beloved JRT.
He's my third. So I've had 3. All my dogs have been Jack Russell Terriers. And he is the first rescue. I had the 2 other ones. I always believe that however you have a Jack Russell Terrier, they have found you. You have not found them.
Right.
And my 2 others came to me from high pedigree dogs from acting families.
Oh, yes.
And so I've been in the entertainment industry peripherally as a writer who's had books turned into movies. But then my second old gal died and I was heartbroken and I was going to wait about 3 months and eventually, and then a week, I made it 1 week. A rescue group had found backyard breeders who had been breeding Jack Russell Terriers with some other stuff, but mainly Jacks. And they had been dumped.
Aww.
Oh, man.
There was some puppies. And I'm like, puppies? I'm not going to have a dog. I just will go look at them. Now, whoever does that.
Sure.
And I got there and I actually, I was always going to be interested in females because I'd only ever had females. And then I walked into this wonderful, wonderful, it's like a pet store, but it's a rescue place where they're just loved and taken care of. And it's just a wonderful place in a mall.
Oh, wow.
What's the name of it? We'd like to give him a shout out.
Shelter Hope Pet Shop in Woodland Hills, California. And I, had just lost my other one. So I was only there to just, check them out. This 2-year-old male Jack Russell jumps up on a chair and looks at me with dreamy eyes. And he's like, hey, babe. He's literally like, yo, what's up? I tried to look at the female who had just had the little puppies. He was so protective of her that I fell in love with him. His name is Romeo, of course, because he's such a flirt. And he is Houdini. He will never, ever, ever live in any kind of a crate.
Yeah.
I would leave him in the crate and I would buy, bigger and bigger and better locks. And I would tie it up with string.
Yeah.
And I'd come home after having gone out for, half an hour. He'd be sitting on the couch.
He's like, this is my spot, lady.
But he is also a runner, meaning not only he escapes from his halters and everything else, he ran for 5 hours one night and the entire city, my little beach city here in California, was out with flashlights. Romeo, where are you?
Oh my gosh.
And then a week or 2 later, he found his way home, as we know, they can do. He was away for 48 hours. And I was heartbroken. And then I was coming home after 2 days, and I had gone up the stairs, and I hear this thundering of little paws.
Mm.
And I look down, and there he is running.
Oh, wow.
And he leapt into my arms. It's like, oh,
Uh,
why did I run away? It wasn't
Yeah.
fun out there. There's nobody as good as you.
Yeah. And he's all, never mind the lipstick on my collar.
Exactly. Like, who have you been hanging out with?
One of my absolute favorite top 10 movies based on one of your books is The Pursuit of Happiness.
Oh.
It just rips my heart out every time. I always get teared up. I love it. And but from my in-depth research on Amazon, I believe you've authored about 14 books. Is that right?
You know what? I need to update Amazon. And this is not your research. Your research is good. I think I'm at about 36.
Wow.
Woo, awesome.
Co-authorships. I've written one of my own, and in addition to some other stuff that's coming up, but and most of what I do is co-writing.
Wow.
That's
And
incredible.
So tell us about your journey into authorship.
Much like how we find our beloved furry kids who take care of us, they pick us. This career found me. I was pursuing an acting career.
Mhm.
I had gone to college to do that, grew up in Tennessee, went to Sarah Lawrence College just outside of New York City, where I lost my accent. And they actually literally made me take elocution.
Wow.
So I could learn to say chair instead of chair. And I was getting into, just all kinds of crazy situations as a young person living in New York City, not making a lot of money. And my uncle, who lived in Portland, Oregon, was concerned and decided to give me a job and teach me the business that he was in, which is shoe business. And I was like, yeah, because I want to be in show business. Why would I do shoe business? But I went to Portland, I worked for him, and I learned so much about storytelling. To sell a shoe, you want to tell a story about that shoe and how that shoe is going to make a difference in somebody's life.
Wow.
So then I went to LA to work at the shoe factory of the line that my uncle repped. And while I was there, I started hanging out in comedy clubs and waitressing and started to act a little bit. But I really found that it was storytelling that I loved the most. And I started writing. I wrote a novel. It got a lot of attention. And then it didn't get sold as a book, but it got optioned as a movie.
Oh, awesome.
And as a fluke, my agent submitted me for a co-writing project with Jackie Stallone, Sylvester Stallone's mom.
Oh, wow.
And I decided early on, I was very good at capturing other people's voices. And I decided, well, I really want to be Meryl Streep, but, who can act all these different characters.
Yes.
But I'll just be Meryl Streep on the page.
Right.
It was back in 1988, 89. And I proceeded to write at least one book a year
Wow.
after that. My big break was getting a chance to help Barry Gordy with his memoir on Motown.
Wow.
And I consider him a mentor, and he taught me so much. I think one of my books that really I loved and I'm very, very proud of, it's called Finding Fish.
Yep.
And it became the movie Antwone Fisher.
Yes.
Who Will Cry for the Little Boy? Oh my gosh, dude.
Oh. I love that you remember that. That was Antwone had written that. And it was such a wonderful collaborative experience. After that, I wrote Beautiful Jim Key, which is my own book. Then I was kind of like, I only want to write my own book. I don't ever want to work with anybody else.
Right.
Not because I didn't like it, but more because, I felt like I'd sort of gotten there.
Mhm.
Then my agent said, oh, there's a book that needs someone to, fix it up. I was known for doing that, for, coming in and doing a quick fix, like a 3-month revision. But I was like, no, I don't really want to be considered for that anymore. And then she goes, well, do me a favor, go and watch this. I think it was Dateline. And it was the story of Chris Gardner.
Right.
And it wasn't the movie yet, but it was just his story. And I just called my agent. I said, I want that job.
Absolutely. Wow.
Yeah. And you've done like 3 or 4 books with him so far now?
Yes. We've done 3 books. We did Pursuit of Happiness. The next one was Start Where You Are, which was his principles of success. And then just this year, we collaborated on his Permission to Dream. And I love that book. It came out in April. I love sharing it with people. It's an intergenerational story. The son that you meet in the movie or that you meet in the book has a daughter, and they get lost one day in a winter storm in Chicago. And it's an opportunity for him to tell the story of what happened before the movie that you see, which he talks about in his memoir, but really pull out the main lessons and then also to tell what's happened since the movie ended. And it is also a chance for him to have to teach himself to start dreaming again.
Mm-hmm.
He's doing this whole back to high school outreach, talking to high schools all over the world and teaching kids to dream.
That's fantastic.
But also, those of us who have kids and grandkids need to have our own dreams. We know how short life can be, especially after COVID.
That's great.
Oh.
So, speaking of beautiful works.
Oh.
The Beautiful Jim Key, The Lost History of a Horse and a Man Who Changed the World. You recount this amazing true story of a horse with human-like intellect. How did that story expand your perception of animals and animal advocacy?
Again, the story found me. I didn't go looking for it. I got an email from a cousin who knew a guy who had discovered this story that had been buried in history.
Wow.
The heading of the email my cousin sent me was Horse from Tennessee. My home state. And plus it's about a Black man who had come out of slavery and had really different kind of journey. He became a self-taught veterinarian and had a practice and developed a patent medicine. At that time in the late 1800s, he wanted to breed a racehorse. That would be a true sign of success. And he had tried to, crossbreed a Hamiltonian, a standardbred with an Arabian, with a thoroughbred. What he got was this sickly foal that everyone just said put him down because he's just not going to make it. And he didn't have children of his own. He took him under his wing and basically treated him like a human son. So I am reading this story about how he, with kindness and patience, he decided, I'll teach him to spell and do math. I've got him on the road with me doing these shows. We're selling this patent medicine, and he's learning these tricks really well about how to pretend to be lame.
Wow.
And then I'll rub my liniment on him and give him my tonic, and he'd bring up and and I was just so enthralled with this. It sounded almost like a fairy tale.
Yeah.
That they would go from a horse that almost didn't live to this. Basically, he was the biggest box office star in the country.
Wow.
At a time when, barely we would allow people of color to be on a stage.
Yeah.
And so they traveled the country launching the humane movement. I was really, struck by, at the time, people were very skeptical. The humane movement was very skeptical. That it was the trick and he wasn't really spelling people's names and he wasn't really doing these things. And my thesis was, does it matter?
Right.
Their big message was kindness and patience achieve this.
Yeah.
And they changed the mind of America and the world, really, because so many people saw him. I think as many as 10 million people saw him perform at these big World's Fairs that were happening.
Oh, that's a lot back then. That's a lot of people.
It's 2 million children signed a pledge. I promise always to be kind to animals. It was known as the Jim Key Pledge.
Wow.
The president McKinley came to Nashville to the World's Fair, and he saw Dr. Key and Jim, and they were doing political humor.
Oh, wow.
Because Jim was, from the South, which at the time was the Democrats. And Dr. Key was Black, so he was a Lincoln follower. He probably didn't even have the right to vote at that time.
Wow.
Right.
But they would do a whole thing about McKinley's a Republican, and Dr. Key would say, well, President McKinley, I want you to know I'm a Republican, but Jim here is a Democrat. And Jim would nod his head. They would just do all these bits. And McKinley turned to a reporter and said, we have never seen such a powerful object lesson of kindness.
Wow.
Yeah.
The humane movement had gotten into trouble is when we sort of get into the infighting.
Right.
There are people who are horrified by horse racing. The people in the horse racing world are like, but these horses love to run. I try to not take sides. And in the book, I also try to not answer the question, was it a trick or was it really something? Now, I have asked veterinarians when I've spoken to those groups what they think. And they're like, oh, horses are so much more intelligent than they're given credit for.
Yeah, that is absolutely incredible. I'm even just growing up raising pigs for 4-H and FFA and all of that. They are so smart. Pigs are like little puppy dogs. I think you can train them too. So I love that story gives so much credit to animals and how smart they really are. I think more and more we're finally getting into that place where specifically a dog, it's not just something, I know some people still do this, but you toss out in your backyard and you feed and that's about it, right? They're more of a member of your family.
There's so many things that divide us. And yet our love for animals, we can connect across barriers. And I think the human-animal bond is so strong. And I also think that one of the things that helps to end animal cruelty, which is so unfathomable to many of us, is the recognition that animals are smart and that they can think and feel and that they have a soul. And there's a story that I found that Dr. Key had said about Jim, that Jim liked to hear the Bible read to him. Now, Jim is a horse. He's a celebrity horse. He's traveling in these fancy, fancy train cars with, all of the creature comforts in the world. But Dr. Key's got to go ride with him back there.
Yes, right.
He doesn't like to be alone. And he reads him the Bible. And he's like, he likes the passages that they talk about the horses. And Dr. Key says, he goes, the thing that Jim wants to know is, why are there only white horses in the Bible? Can't a good bay horse go to heaven too? And so, all of these themes of acceptance and understanding that we're so much more connected in our love for animals than we are different from each other. It was such a gift that story fell in my hands. It's kept, finding an audience through many, many years. And I keep telling everybody there's a movie coming. And I can finally tell you all there is a movie coming. And
yay!
You can have me back on when I can officially announce the details.
Yeah,
that
I'm
would be
looking forward to
wonderful.
it.
So along the same lines of these beautiful animals being full of emotion and personality and talent. So the motto of our podcast is more than a dog, almost a person, so much to love. What are some almost a person things that your JRT does?
Oh my gosh. When you look at his eyes, he has these human eyes. The phone will ring and I'll be ignoring it because, I'm working and I don't really want to look at the phone. And he'll go, come on, answer the phone.
Yeah.
And the same with the doorbell. Whatever his experience was before I got him, he was 2. So I've never had a rescue before.
Yeah.
He was a little distrustful of men. And he also never barked. I don't know why. Maybe he had been hurt when he barked, or I just don't even know. He just didn't bark. He does now, but he did. I had gone through a divorce a couple years earlier, and I was used to always, being married and having my son here, but now I was by myself.
Oh, yeah.
And so he was somehow aware of my need for protection. I had been going out to dance classes and being busy, and I went out one night this is about November, probably about midnight, and ran him down to, get outside for a little bit, do his business. And then we came back upstairs and he fell asleep. And right before 2:00 in the morning, he's sitting up in bed, barking like there is no tomorrow. I never heard this dog bark. And he was facing the door on alert. And I was like, what's going on? Is there a mouse in the house? I've never heard him bark. What's going on? And I look up and there is a man walking at him.
Oh, man. Wow.
He is sounding like the biggest pit bull who's about ready to jump off. He's like saying to me, you need to do something. And I channeled that same bark. I don't know where it came from. I was like, get out. And so the intruder turned around and left.
Oh, wow.
I called the police and they were there in a minute. But this is why I say this dog saved my life. And I think that he understood that I was going to sleep through it and something very bad would happen to me.
Yeah.
So it's his protectiveness, his humanness. And he's gone from being that really, like, I'm running away and I'm going to escape from every single thing. He's really, really good.
Yeah.
He's good.
That's awesome. I love it how they grow and learn and change just like people too, and mature and hopefully mature, right? And all that good
Yes,
stuff.
exactly. Exactly. So my other Jack Russells, I should mention, were the females. My original, the one who I got hooked on Jack Russells, had been discovered on the TV show Family Ties, playing Puppy in a Basket. And
Oh.
my friend was a writer, producer on the show, and she was going to adopt her Pokey, but then couldn't have her in her home. So I ended up adopting her.
Oh.
And she was so brilliant and just was so tough. She was like a tough old broad with a cigarette hanging out of her mouth.
Yeah.
Yes.
I just believe that they're so protective. I don't think that people really realize that about Jack Russell Terriers.
They're fight to the death to save your life kind of dogs.
Mhm.
Yeah.
And especially my experience with the female of the breed, they are like super alpha. They run the show.
Absolutely. So when Pokey was getting old, we did not want to have an empty dog nest. I had a friend who was in the entertainment industry, and she knew of a breeder, an animal wrangler for the movies. And I'm like, well, that would be good because Pokey came from show business. And so we better go take a look.
They'll have something to talk about.
Exactly. That's funny. So Dory Sitterly is a really well-known animal wrangler. She's worked on out of Africa with the lions. And
Wow.
I met Dory, and she was the mom of Barkley.
Oh, yes.
Barkley is one of the most famous Jack Russell actors. Barkley was Wishbone, did every single Jack Russell Terrier commercial.
Yes.
And he was the father of Griffin. And Griffin had worked a lot as an actor. And then Griffin was with Anastasia, who was a female rescue, who was the famous Jack Russell who popped the balloons on Jay Leno.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So that was Dory's Anastasia. And Anastasia and Griffin had one of their last litters we got Josie from. Josie was one of the shyest little girls, like so mellow for Jack Russell.
Right.
But again, what you said is true. She was still the alpha. She was still running the show. She did a couple like Disney promos and things like that. But I always felt like she felt that she was robbed. That she never got to have the career that she wanted.
She wasn't a schmoozer, so she didn't really connect.
Exactly. But she was very, very beautiful. She almost looked like she had eyeliner, and
pretty.
When she was getting old, she did not want to leave me because I was newly single. And I think that she felt like this was her job, was to be at my side. I don't know if it's unique to this breed, but she would come over and like, are you okay? And she would like lick my tears. She was just so sweet. And there came that moment. It's like, it's okay. You can go.
Yeah.
And it's just so hard. I had gone through that when I was writing Beautiful Jim Key. The hardest, part is, and even my guy, Steve says I worry about the ending because I know what happens at the end.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Our first Jack, he made it to 17 and a half, and he had advanced kidney and liver failure. And then he went deaf and blind, like right at the end. And
he didn't want to go. Probably.
He didn't.
He was still his sweet, calm self, even with all that going on. He was the sweetest dog, and it was so hard to make that decision.
Yeah.
With that, we'll take a quick break, and you can listen to this commercial for Becca's amazing children's novel.
11-year-old Walter just may die of boredom doing the most boring summer ever. While exploring an abandoned garden, Walter discovers a mystical elf world where all dead plants spring to life at his touch. The downtrodden elves think Walter is there to save them with his new life-giving powers. To defeat the wicked Ichabod von Schnothoof before he sucks everyone's joy dry with his never-ending list of rules, Walter will need to use his best power yet, his imagination. In a dying, oppressed world, one boy has the power to bring freedom and life. Walter Plume and the Dehydrated Imagination will take you and your middle grade reader on a thrilling journey while igniting the depths of your imagination. Boys to Book says beautiful imagery leads to spectacular world building in this fantasy that will leave the young reader glued to the pages. Relatable characters add to the magic of the story with never a dull moment. Get your magical fingers on a copy of Walter Plume and the Dehydrated Imagination by Rebecca Lynn Morales, now at Amazon.com. Find out more at walterplume.com. Let Walter and his story awaken your beautiful and creative imagination.
We're back with esteemed author and Jack Russell mama, Mim Eichler Rivas.
Speaking of sweet, soulful dogs, tell us about your latest book, Piglet.
Yes.
The unexpected story of a deaf-blind pink puppy and his family. And tell us about the Piglet Mindset.
During COVID, it's been so hard for so many people. It was good for me as somebody who works at home and writes books.
Sure.
Because I had some time on my hands. I worked on 4 books. I had 4 books come out this year that had been written last year and early this year. And I had a full slate. And then my agent called and said, well, there's this book and, and you sound familiar. and I'm like, oh, no, I can't. She goes, it's about a dog. I'm like, what?
Sold.
Melissa is a veterinarian and she has been, an animal advocate for years and years. She's been rescuing birds and rescuing dogs, but they always had a 2-dog limit, which they always were breaking the policy. And she had a particular interest in dogs with disabilities that she really wanted to do more to raise awareness. And these backyard breeders, people who are crossing dogs to get cute results, are unaware that when you mate a dapple with a dapple, the double dapple mating, when both dogs have that color pattern, you get a very high percentage that the dogs are going to be deaf and blind.
Wow.
And so she always knew about that and wanted to raise awareness about it. She gets this email from one of the rescue gals who says, we're looking for someone to foster a 1-pound deaf-blind pink puppy. She immediately, no, we are not doing this. We're not doing this. I cannot even look at this picture. And then she looks at the picture.
And that's the end of it.
That's the end of it. But she says, okay, I can't do this to my husband, but we'll foster for a few. This dog is so cute. There's so many people are going to want this dog. So we'll just do it for, a week. Mm-hmm. So anyway, she gets this dog and it's just this magical, magical story of this screaming banshee, just very unhappy, really, really, upset little runt. The mother had rejected him and it's just heartbreaking. And she couldn't get him to stop screaming, but she wanted to know, and she had read about it and studied up on it, but had never really had to work with it, doing tap signals and teaching this little dog whose name was Bart, that her husband says, he's Piglet. He looks like a pig. He looks like a baby pig. He's got to be Piglet. And so I started teaching him to communicate, and he was so smart and so hungry to learn. It reminded me of the miracle worker, Helen Keller and Annie Sullivan. So she teaches him, he's like the smartest of her 7. Now she's got 7 dogs. And he's becoming the little star when they do demonstrations, but is no, I'm not going to keep him. I can't do that. I will get him ready for his home. Now, I hope that everybody who hears this will get the book. I really hope they'll get the book.
Yeah.
I guess it's apparent that where this is headed. It's another failed foster situation. But she decided she agreed to, okay, we'll adopt him, because every single person who wanted him, and there were a lot who did, it's like, this is a special needs dog.
Yeah.
You've got to really be with him all the time.
Right.
And he also bonded so heavily with her husband, with Warren.
Mm.
At a certain point, they're like, he's not leaving. He was home the minute he got here.
Yeah. Aw.
She decided that if I'm going to keep him, he's going to serve a purpose. We're going to raise awareness. We're going to create a foundation and raise money for these rescue groups, especially in the disabled special needs category. And we'll also try and get the word out that it's a wonderful thing, that these dogs, yeah, maybe they're more work, but they're also what you give, you get back many, many times over.
Right.
One of the things that happened fairly early on is that a teacher in Massachusetts had been watching these videos and saying, oh my gosh, I want to share this positive story of this little pink puppy who refuses to give up and keeps learning and keeps trying. And he can do so many things that other dogs can do. And it's such an uplifting story. And I want to share him with the kids in my class. And so she contacted Dr. Shapiro, and they developed basically a curriculum called the Piglet Mindset.
Awesome.
And it was the teacher and the kids, the students, that first class, who started applying this positivity to their own lives. It's about inclusion and accepting people for their differences, and taking your positive mindset and turning it around, and being, sensitive to people with disabilities, to people and animals with disabilities. And more teachers have come on board. It's this organic thing that has taken over. The website is pigletmindset.org. And there's ways to get the book there. We as adults can use a Piglet Mindset.
Yes.
We as adults, we can get frustrated, we can get unhappy, but we can also rethink and retry and come up with solutions.
I love it. That's incredible.
That's a great story. I love how it was unexpected and organic in its growth. I'm looking at the picture with Piglet and his family, and it's a pack of 7 dogs, and he's standing in front.
Yes.
Oh my goodness. Well, speaking of shining, I think you have done some incredible work. You've had an incredible career so far.
Congratulations.
We've loved hearing about all of it. So what's next for you as an author?
I am adapting a couple of the books to screenplays. I've had about 5 books turn into movies.
So cool.
Or are in the process. Finding Fish became Antwone Fisher, Pursuit of Happiness. I did a book with Alfredo Quinones Hinojosa called Becoming Dr. Q, which is, I'm very proud of that. And it's in the works to be a movie about a migrant farm worker who became a top brain surgeon.
Wow.
I'm plugging this book because I loved working with Richard Montanez. His story is called Flamin' Hot, and he was a janitor who created Flamin' Hot Cheetos.
What?
And went on to become a VP of PepsiCo, the parent company of Frito-Lay.
Wow.
I'm excited about that book, and I have a couple other things in the works. Oh, and last but not least, oh my gosh, not my ex, my high school boyfriend, who's not in high school. He's a grown-up like me.
Good to clarify.
Yeah, it's got to be really clear about that. The one, his name is Steve Irwin. He and I come from this very interesting city called Oak Ridge, Tennessee. And Oak Ridge is the home of the atomic bomb.
Mm.
And we grew up, my dad was a nuclear physicist, my mother's a painter and a concert pianist. And so all the science and art and creativity, but yet it's, the South, it's Tennessee, it's East Tennessee. I always say I come from the land of hillbillies and rocket scientists.
Wow.
So we're writing a superhero story based on where we come from. And one of the superheroes' gifts is that he communicates with animals.
Ah, that's awesome.
Can't wait.
So we have a quick round of Zoomy questions for you.
Okay.
We call them the Zoomies rounds because they're quick, and you're just going to tell us the first thing that pops into your head.
Okay.
So you're a biographical author, but do you prefer documentaries or fictional movies?
I'm big on fiction.
What's your favorite genre?
Oh my gosh. I would say that I have a secret passion for thrillers.
Aha, cool.
All right, you already answered our next question, which is, are you going to be working on any fictional books? And I'm assuming the superhero one is slightly fictitious.
It is fiction based on a true story. I'll say no more.
Okay. For the holidays, do you prefer turkey or ham?
I love turkey. I will eat turkey anytime.
Awesome.
And for pie, which kind are you going to take the biggest slice of?
I just had it recently, so I'm thinking about it. I love key lime pie.
Oh,
That's my favorite too.
Really?
I love key lime pie. So, who is one of your favorite authors?
My number one influence for a long time, and I'm not the only person who has felt this way, but it's Joan Didion.
Oh, that's great.
So when I was first starting my writing career, she was very influential. But the other author that I always loved and who really impacted me early on is Lawrence Durrell, who wrote the Alexandrian Quartet.
Ah, excellent.
And he was living through wartime and writing about Egypt and all of these characters. And I can still quote passages from, he's just such a beautiful, lyrical, emotional writer.
Do you remember the name of your first dog?
Yes, I do. Of course. My family's first dog was Louisa.
Ah. All right. One last quick question. Coffee or tea?
I'm a coffeeaholic.
Gotcha. What kind of coffee do you have?
I have a regular coffee maker, and I have a cappuccino machine, and I have 3 kinds of coffee.
Ah, that was going to be my follow-up question, but takeout or homemade, but sounds like you've got a complete takeout setup in your house.
I have my French roast that I drink mainly. I have a decaf just to when I need to take the edge off if I'm drinking 7 cups, which is not good. I have espresso for my cappuccino.
Now that wraps up our zoomy round of questions. The depth of the conversation and what I feel like I've learned today has been quite remarkable. Thank you so much for being here. This has been an absolute privilege.
Oh, you are too kind. And thank you guys for, having a platform for all of us to talk about our loves.
You can connect with Mim and find her amazing works at beautifuljimkey.com, pigletmindset.org, or by going to amazon.com and searching for her name, Mim Eichler Rivas, Mimeichler Rivas.
I found the best way to meet new people is through our mutual love of dogs. People love sharing their dog stories with other puppy parents and introducing their dogs to us and vice versa.
Every time we take Carson for a walk, new friendships are born.
I know, right? Like people cross the street, even come out of their homes to make Carson's acquaintance.
But we can't take him everywhere.
Unfortunately, no. But that's when our Jack Russell Parents attire takes effect. Cute holiday prints like fall in love with a Jack Russell. I'm thankful for my Jack Russell. All I want for Christmas is a Jack Russell. And puppies make this season merry and bright are the perfect way to celebrate the season and your adorable pup. So are you a proud puppy parent that wants to connect with other puppy parents? Or do you simply like super cute doggy themed attire to go with your cozy leggings or heavy coat? Either way, we have what you need at the Jack Russell Parents Store.
All our awesome prints come in a variety of t-shirts, hoodies, baby onesies, coffee mugs, and even face masks. Your choice.
To join the doggy squad, check out all the rad merch options at jackrussellparents.com. Simply click on shop at the top and place your order. Happy holidays, puppy parents! Lastly, but in no way leastly, we have Insta Dog of the Week. Today we are featuring the Ketchup and Mustard Show. That's at The Ketchup and Mustard Show, all one word. The subtitle on their bio is Ketchup, Mustard, and the Pack. So there is a pack of 4 cutie patootie little dogs on this Instagram, and you're going to want to join the pack by following them ASAP.
Okay.
So we have Kip, Ketchup, Colonel Mustard, and Sergeant Pepper. And so the first 3 are rescue mutts. And the 4th one is a miniature dachshund. And they are all from Nashville, Tennessee. Gabe, let's talk a bit about what we love about this Dogorific page. And then we have another special surprise for you all. So, Gabe, what is your favorite pick?
Because there's 4 dogs in the Ketchup and Mustard Show, it's a cast of 4. There's so many interesting and different pictures, right? You can't predict what's going to come up next. They all have their own personalities. They're all a little wacky and wild. One of my favorite pictures is definitely the one of the terrier mix, and it has like a blue neck pillow around. It's like he's going to go on a flight or something. He found a blue marker. He probably stole it from somewhere. And he says, "Look, Mom, I found the perfect accessory to complete my look." And it happens to be the exact same color blue as his neck pillow. He'll chew up the marker, and then his face will be blue. So he'll himself will match the pillow.
He'll have blue lips. True terrier form, stealing a marker. That's perfect. I love the pictures with all 4 dogs together because they just look like a little family, the 4 of them. And I also love this close-up of Sergeant Pepper, who is the miniature dachshund. And the caption says she is 4.5 months old, and she's just so precious. She's so cute. So that picture's, I don't know, halfway or 3/4 of the way down on the right. But she's just adorable. She has a speckled cream and brown face and these big dark eyes. And, you know, it makes me think of every time I see a dog like this, I'm reminded of Doug, who I work with, and he has 2 dachshunds, or weenie dogs. He calls them weenie dogs. And it just makes me laugh so much because he has this Texas accent, and he says, "I took my weenie dogs for a walk."
Shout out to you, Doug.
I love you, Doug. Okay. And folks, we have something super special for you today. You get to hear from the Ketchup and Mustard Show owners themselves. Here is what they have to say about their Insta Dogs.
We are the happy watchers of the Ketchup and Mustard Show.
So,
yeah, that was Sergeant Pepper chiming in. He likes to have, he has a very much to say. It's his dachshund nature.
Ketchup, he was sort of dumped on a beach.
We got him from the Russell Rescue.
And at the Russell Rescue, there was a 7-year-old who really liked him.
Yeah, the foster family had a 7-year-old girl that Ketchup bonded with.
And so he was preloaded for me.
We were so lucky to find him because he's amazing. We also have Kip, who's our older dog. He likes to get out of the gate and go on adventures. When Hazel was little, she would open the gate. She loved taking the whole family around the neighborhood to catch him. Mustard is our first Jack Russell mix. He's a big goofball. He's hilarious. He's kind of the clown of the group. He's also like the one who is most likely to know where everyone else is and to have played with them in the last 5 minutes. He takes great pride in being taller than the other dogs and being able to jump over them at any point.
To learn more about our crazy pack of dogs, stay tuned to Instagram at The Ketchup and Mustard Show, all run together, all spelled out. Thanks.
Aw, with that sweet message, be sure to add at the Ketchup and Mustard Show, all one word, to your Insta scroll.
You may be wondering, how do I get my adorable pup featured on the show? How do they get a shout out? They deserve to be famous too. Well, we've made it easy in our brand new Puppy Showcase segment. All you got to do is go to speakpipe.com/JRT podcast. That's SPEAKPIPE, speakpipe.com/JRT podcast. Click the big orange button that says start recording and leave us a 90-second clip stating your pup's name, their nicknames, their Insta handle if they have one, why your pup is special, and why you love them. And this feature will work if you're on a computer with a webcam or on your smartphone.
Oh, that's so cool. We're really excited to hear about your dogs. And over the last year, we've read thousands of puppy parent replies to our questions. But now we get to hear your voices celebrate the precious pups in your lives. Y'all, this has been a true day of celebration. Gabe's birthday, the amazing Mim Eichler Rivas, and the Ketchup and Mustard Show. Woo! I'm pooped from all this partying. We hope you enjoyed celebrating with us, and we tip our chewed up party hats to you, puppy parents. Did you enjoy this episode? Did you learn from the content? Or did you just have a good, relatable laugh? Well, now what? It's time to subscribe, follow, keep listening, and give a positive review on the Apple Podcast app. Then share the podcast with other puppy parents. This will allow us to connect you and your friends with fun, dog-loving content week after week. Until next time, this is Becca and Gabe, the Jack Russell parents.
Say bye, Carson.
We'd love to connect with you online at jackrussellparents.com or on Instagram, Facebook, and Twitter at JRT Podcasts. That's at JRT for Jack Russell Terrier Podcast.
The Jack Russell Parents Podcast is produced by Earball Audio.
Jack Russell Parents is brought to you in part by Super Chewer. From the makers of BarkBox, Super Chewer is a themed monthly delivery of toys and treats made especially for dogs who play harder and demand a challenge. Simply go to jackrussellparents.com and click the Super Chewer link to enjoy their great offers while also supporting our podcast.